Director Girding, in July 2022, the SEC proposed amendments to rules that would narrow certain grounds under which companies may exclude shareholder proposals from their proxy statements. Specifically, the proposed amendments would make it harder for public companies to exclude shareholder proposals that are duplicative, a resubmission of a proposal that failed previously, or a proposal that a company has already substantially implemented. As you know, these SEC proposed amendments have not been finalized and require Commission approval for them to be adopted, yet SEC staff is already using the proposed approach to decide shareholder proposals, shareholder proposal no action requests. Can you explain, sir, why SEC staff is operating as if these amendments were already finalized?
Thank you, Chair Wagner. As you note, the division did recommend changes to Rule 14A8 in 2022 on resubmission, substantial duplication, and other grounds for exclusion under 14A8. We are carefully considering comments received in response to that proposed rule. But until a rule is finalized by the Commission, we follow existing rules in our informal shareholder proposal process.
Well, as you said, you're still dealing with the comment period. They haven't been finalized, they haven't been adopted, yet you are using the proposed approach. I'll give you an example, just one example of one right here dealing with Altria Group. So I take high exception to this, as do, I believe, the companies and this committee. So I submit this to the record, and I will also make sure you get a copy of it, sir. Yeah. Director Girding, what do you think the weather will be next week?
I'm sorry, Chair Wagner?
What do you think the weather is going to be next week?
I don't know. I would have to look.
Interesting. Yeah. Next week, I think it's going to be cold and rainy. Director, what will be the effect of artificial intelligence on oil refinery production in 2034?
Commissioner, I would, sorry, Chair Wagner, I would leave that to companies to disclose.
Interesting. I thought it would cost oil companies $13 trillion annually. Director Girding, while these questions may seem strange, that is exactly what you are asking public companies to do under the climate change proposals put forth by the Commission. And given the companies are being forced to guess about the state of the weather or technological innovations decades in the future, how can they possibly provide, in the words of Chair Gensler, comparability and standardized disclosures the rules purport to require?
Chair Wagner, the climate risk disclosure proposal that the Commission voted on last year is about disclosing risk to investors. And risk is about future losses that companies may face. This is the kind of disclosure, the kind of things that investors need to make investment and voting decisions.
Future risk. They're guessing. They're guessing. Director Girding, the SEC reversed Chairman Clayton's 2020 reforms that would have effectively held proxy advisory firms accountable for omitting or misstating material information regarding proxy voting advice or conflicts of interest. Sir, do you agree with Chairman Gensler that proxy advisory firms should be able to omit material information or to provide misinformation regarding their voting advice, methodology, sources of information, or conflicts of interest without being held accountable?
Chair Wagner, the 2020 proxy voting advisory business provisions remain in effect with respect to requiring proxy voting advisory businesses to disclose conflicts of interest. They remain in effect with respect to subjecting proxy voting advice to the federal proxy rules, and they remain in effect with respect to ensuring that proxy voting advice is subject to anti-fraud rules, including Rule 14A9.
None of that is at all answering my question, which has to do with the omitting of material and whether this is okay. My time's expired. I